What is going on, guys? My name is Slikmof and I'm back again with another video, and in today's video I wanted to talk about the unmasking event for Telltale Batman because I know a lot of you guys couldn't make it, school, everything like that, so I want to talk about this game because we learned a lot about it. Got my Carolina Tar Heels hat, celebration of them being in the second round of the NCAA tournament, which nobody was surprised they would get to. Okay, anyway. Talking about Telltale Batman, this was an awesome event. The questions at the end were like iffy. There were people asking for career advice. It was just weird. I thought they were going to ask questions about the Batman game, and some people did. They asked questions that they knew, they weren't going to answer, like who's the voice actor for Batman. So the questions weren't very good. They didn't give us very much as they could have. I really would have preferred to just have them, the folks at Telltale, because, I wanted to hear them talk more than, these people ask kind of questions that, you and I both know, like, watching, it's like, that's a dumb question, they're not going to answer that, and not only that, it's pointless, and, again, there were people inquiring about career advice, what they should do. It's just weird. I thought they were going to, focus more on the Batman, games, but that's not the fault of, Telltale or the event. It was just purely the fault of the people asking the questions. Anyway, the event was awesome. We got a lot of awesome new information about the game, the most pressing of which, I would say the most important, is that the game will be coming out this summer, 2016. This is amazing because we weren't sure if that was going to be the case. A lot of people were speculating initially this might be November, December kind of ordeal, and I was saying, not to, toot my horn or anything, but I was saying that I don't think the game was going to be that late. And sure enough, we are going to be getting it this summer, but summer is a very broad array, you know what I mean? August is technically summer, if you really want to think about it. So it could also be as early as June. So we really don't know at this point. If I were to speculate, I would say June or July is right in the range, because Telltale Michonne is ending in April. And, they don't have too much dead space in between their games where just nothing is coming out at all, because as they mentioned, they are working at four games, not 40, sorry, 4 games at any time, some in the writing development. This game is in the forefront of development as along with Michonne in terms of, building the game. So big things to mention. One, the release in summer 2016. That's massive. That's huge. That reaffirms a big hope that we all had that the game wasn't going to be like, oh, episode 1 drops in 2016. And then every other one falls into 2017, and the game ends in mid-2017, you know what I mean? So it really seems like this game is going to probably wrap up in December, like in that range, like, late 2016, maybe episode 5 will leak into 2017, but that's really the, the latest you're going to get with that in terms of, the release schedule, because they are doing monthly release schedules now. They have over 350 employees, which is like insane. That's a massive, and they talked about how in The Walking Dead season 1, they had like 70. Okay, so they've really revved up for this game and other ones as well. So that's really exciting. Number 2, we have a bit of information about, the choices that we'll be getting in the game. They didn't mention anything about choices in regards to, like, you'll have the choice to kill somebody or to save somebody, like those kind of choices. That's a little too detailed. They did talk about how you will have the choice to address a situation. We don't know what that situation is. And you can choose whether to, get in the cape and cowl as Batman or be the businessman Bruce Wayne, which I thought was really interesting because Bruce Wayne has a lot of political power, a lot of social influence over Gotham. And all too often we see him just jump into the cape and cowl and handle all the problems that way. So, the ability to handle issues in 2 different ways is really interesting as Bruce Wayne or as Batman, and you address those as Batman or Bruce Wayne, you obviously address it completely differently. One is more political and you careful what you say and that kind of thing. Whereas as Batman, it's a little less conservative in approach or in foreplanning, a little bit more just jump right in and beat everybody up, basically. So I'm really looking forward to that. When they said that, I was not expecting that at all. I was expecting choices, do this, do that, that kind of thing. That's very broad. Of course, do this or do that. But you know what I mean? Like, interrogate this guy or don't interrogate him, those kind of choices. But, choose to be Batman or choose to be Bruce Wayne for seemingly a significant amount of the episode, or at least a part of it. That's pretty big stuff. I mean, that's massive. So that's going to really shape the output of the game. They also address concerns from the audience about endings of their game not leading to different paths. And what Kevin Brunner said, in my opinion, beautifully, is that if, they have 9,000 different outcomes, you as the viewer or the player may not get the outcome that you want, and thereby, rather than just having a splurge of quantity of choices, just have 4 or 5 quality ones, or maybe even 2 quality ones, and that's their formula of quality over quantity, which I, really agreed with what he said there about, the games are tailored to your choices. Not every single choice that you make leads to a totally different path, and ultimately everybody ends in a different path. And also as a YouTuber, I can say, if every one of my viewers is watching one of my videos and we're discussing Telltale Batman, and every single one of my viewers is in a different part of the game, that's no fun. We can't talk about different choices because we're all playing a different game. So if there's 9,000 different choices, it's almost like you can't share those experiences. Whereas, like I'm always used to playing Telltale games, and it's like, oh, did you do this? Oh, if you didn't do that, how did this play out? And that kind of thing. So I really like the way that he answered that, and to me, that's never been a complaint of mine that, I don't know. I feel like that's blown out of proportion because Telltale games are tailored to the way in which you play, and everybody that's played Telltale games knows that, really, the way I see it. So, another thing that may be kind of negative news to some of you, to me, I'm kind of apathetic towards, it did mention how he's not going to be going too deep into the Bat family in terms of, I imagine like Batwing and stuff like that. He did mention that there's the possibility of people like Nightwing appearing in the game, but as per the game being, so, incredibly focused on the Bat family, that's just not going to happen. It's going to be, a lot more focused on Batman and immediate Bat family members. When I think of the immediate Bat family, I think of Jim Gordon, even though, some would say he's not Bat family, but the point is like his immediate allies, the ones that we've come to know, Jim Gordon, Alfred, and, maybe Robin. But beyond that, again, you're not going to getting into like 14-man Bat family, engagements. It's just not going to be that way. It's going to be primarily a Batman game, which to me, again, is pretty exciting. And at the same point, could they have done the other way? Could they have gone the Bat family route? Absolutely. But the way they did it here, I think is going to play beautifully. And how can we forget Kevin Bruner addressing a new engine? Maybe not an entirely new engine, but they're talking about a lot of big things are going to be rolling out in terms of the production and design and everything like that. Since, again, that is another hotspot of things that people have complained about. And one of the things that's amazing about this game is that they talked about how this is not going to look like an Arkham game at all. It's not going to look like a live-action game. It's going to look like a comic book in the way that The Wolf Among Us did, and it's going to feel like you're playing through a comic book rather than, again, trying to almost like deceive you as if what you're looking at is real. Like the Arkham games, it's going to be like you're playing through a comic book, which is really, really exciting. And just from the first image we got, we could see that it's going to have that, comic booky design. And that's always been a dream of mine, is almost like playing through a comic book. And I got that with The Wolf Among Us, even to The Walking Dead to a certain degree. The art design wasn't exactly like that, but it was still pretty similar. And I cannot wait to see how their art design plays out. I think it's going to be phenomenal. And to wrap it all up, they did talk about how they're not opposed at all to having Paul Dini and others, and that is certainly a possibility. Although the first 1, 2, probably maybe 3 episodes are already written, they're definitely not, opposed to having Paul Dini and other legendary Batman writers coming on, which is, they talked about how they did that with Tales from the Borderlands. They've had other epic writers come on, and that's really exciting that they're not opposed to doing that, and maybe we could have Paul Dini write the 5th and final episode of Season 1. They also talked about how they're not at all opposed to Season 2, happening. If, they're going to see how this works. If it does well, then they're going to continue it, and if it's well received. So I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that as many people play this as possible, because I really want to see a Season 2 and beyond. So ultimately, they talked about how this game is going to focus more on Bruce Wayne than any other Batman game that we've ever played. They will even, in some chances, give us the choice to choose between playing as Bruce Wayne or Batman in some situations, which to me sounds really exciting. And finally, in my opinion, one of the best and biggest announcements of this entire event is that the game will be rated M. It's targeted to an adult audience. This, to me, is the kind of cornerstone success piece of Telltale games, and my favorite Telltale games. I would say that of my top 5 favorites, The Wolf Among Us and Tales from the Borderlands, or excuse me, not Tales from the Borderlands. I love Tales from the Borderlands. That's up there too. I would say my favorite 2 are probably The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us. And the reasons I love those games so much is that they are mature and they are intended for adult audiences, and they don't at all hold back in an attempt to appeal to a general audience, which is why I was really excited that they're doing the R-rated cut of Batman v Superman. The only thing I wish is that they did that in theaters, because this game is not at all targeted to, a broader audience, and that is certainly a trap that I felt that Telltale could have fallen into, in that they've seen success with the M-rated games with that, and they may be shifting towards a broader audience because Batman's appeal is so wide, and he does have a lot of younger fans. But to me, the game being rated M is just a massive selling point, and it's just amazing. Arkham Knight was accidentally rated M. I can tell you that for 100% fact. They did not mean for that game to get an M rating, and you can tell it was not a mature game. Even when Barbara Gordon shot herself in the head, there wasn't even blood. They covered it up. They tried to censor it. They tried so hard to get that game rated teen, and I'm sure it was devastating when they found out it was M. But by the fact that game did well, that was further evidence to Telltale. Not that this formulated their opinion at all, because they've always made amazing, uncensored, great, adult games. but I think that this mature game, this game has to be mature, and they're focusing on that. It's going to be gruesome, and it's going to be gritty, and really explore the again, the duality of Bruce Wayne's mind and how he's kind of screwed up in many senses from his childhood, wrongdoings, he was robbed of a childhood, that kind of thing. So we all get that, and that's going to be phenomenal. And to me, this was the biggest announcement next to the fact that it's coming out in summer 2016. Everything else, Telltale Games, making a Batman game, it's coming out soon, and it's going to be rated M and, not made E10 or whatever, try to appeal to a general audience. Telltale doesn't do that. They don't sell out in that way, which I'm really glad that they didn't or don't. So hope you guys have enjoyed the video. That's my coverage. In summary, M rated, focus on Batman and Bruce Wayne. It's gonna have Bat family members in it, but it's gonna have a new engine. So many amazing things. Hope you guys have enjoyed it, and if you did, can feel free to hit the like button. More coverage from Telltale Batman on this channel, certainly, and be sure to subscribe for all of that. Like the video if you enjoyed, and we will see you in the next one.